and welcome to Gary Reviews. This time I'm going to talk about my favorite show of all time. So for my first ever TV show review, it's time to talk about Xena Warrior Princess. So let's talk about the best kick-ass woman there is. So first of all, let's start with some piece of news. For some of us that haven't heard, Xena could be back again. The studio, Universal Studios, are thinking about bringing her back. So if this show comes back, I'll be the happiest girl in the whole world. Because I'm Xena's biggest fan, or at least one of the biggest Xena's fans. So anyway, if you haven't seen Xena Warrior Princess, I'll tell you why you should see Xena Warrior Princess if you have the chance. So Xena's character first started in Hercules, The Legendary Journeys with Katie Sorbo, and her character was presented in the first season as Xena Warrior Princess, the kick-ass bad girl that gonna make Hercules run for his money. So let's begin with how Xena came to be. There is a lot to talk about when Xena is concerned, but a lot of people that haven't seen the show or that are seeing just one or two episodes think that Xena is just a kick-ass woman. Well, she's actually not. She's a lot more than that. So I'm doing this review for all the Xena fans and for the not Xena fans that maybe will want to give her a chance someday and see the show. For me personally, that is the most meaningful show. I know it's very old now, but what Xena represents and what the show represented helped a lot of people in their own lives. So Xena is an inspiration for millions of people around the world, and I think that the show is very underrated because many people want to see only blood, violence and so on, but Xena is the show that absolutely represents what a meaningful story is. So if you're into very meaningful stories that evolve big time through the course of the show, Xena is just for you. So Xena's story begins in Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and she's presented as a very bad warrior woman that just wants to rob villages and to destroy villages, to take as much as her army can. So when Hercules met Xena, she was very evil destroyer. The story that we see in Hercules about Xena being a very bad woman is actually not the beginning of the story, but it is how we saw Xena for the first time. She participates in 3 episodes. The first episode we see Xena trying to corrupt Hercules' friend Iolaus, and she succeeds. She made him fall in love with her and turn against Hercules, which led to both of them fighting. And in the end, of course, Iolaus understood that Xena was evil and wanted nothing but to get to Hercules, to destroy Hercules so she can establish her power in the eyes of her army. Unfortunately for her, her lead general betrayed her. He wanted to take over the power and the leadership of the army. He made her go through a ritual that was called the Gauntlet, in which Xena have to go through a path of her warriors surrounding her, and they have to beat her a lot. The idea of this ritual is that they will kill her and she will die as a warrior in a sense. But it's really an embarrassing ritual that Xena goes through. They beat her a lot. She tries to defend herself, but back then Xena is not that perfect warrior, as she becomes a little bit later in the show. And she evolves and becomes the unbeatable Xena killer of gods. That is way ahead in her own show. So anyway, Xena went through this gauntlet and she survives. And that comes to a shock to all of her army, and including the betrayer Darphus. Yes, that was his name. She wants to kill now Hercules even more, so she can show to her army that she is the deserving leader, and so on and so forth. But how Darphus betrayed her is also interesting. Darphus wanted to kill women and children and be evil as much as possible. But Xena had only one rule, and that was to not kill women or children. And he tries to kill a baby after he killed his mother. So Xena catches him and she threatens him. If he ever tries to do that, she will kill him. So he is even more determined to betray her. After this, Xena tries to kill Hercules and she almost succeeds, but his cousin saves him. Hercules makes Xena think about what she's doing, how she wanna live her life. Eventually Xena thinks all through and helps Hercules defeat Darphus. Xena and Hercules come together and fight, and Xena kills Darphus. So that is how Xena's story starts in Hercules. And after that, Xena was so successful character that they decided to make her own show. Oh, I forgot to tell you that in the third episode of Xena with Hercules, she helps Hercules defeat another big monster, and they fall in love, and Xena decides to leave Hercules because she has to follow her own destiny and to see what she will do with herself now that she is absolutely alone and have all these abilities, and how she's going to live with herself now that she's realized what she's done. How she became a warrior, and why did she decided to choose this evil path is explained later in the show. So I have to explain a little bit about that now. So the first episode of Xena, it starts with Xena being kind of depressed about her past, so she decides to just quit and throw her armor in the dirt and starts to bury it. But she meets a girl. A group of warriors have taken hostage of that girl's village, and Xena sees all that and she decides to help. So that's how she comes back and meets this girl that is a young girl and doesn't know anything about anything, but she wants more than anything to go with Xena and see the world, because if she stays in her village, they're just going to make her be a normal girl and just marry some random guy. Actually, he's not so random, he's a childhood friend, but anyway. I'm not going to tell you the whole show. I'm just going to hit the key parts why Xena is so amazing and why her story is actually a lot deeper than it looks. She finds a new meaning in helping people, and that is a way for her to redeem herself. So pretty much that's how Xena became a hero. But let's go back now a little bit in the past and determine why she even became evil. So the story of Xena is shown through the series, and a different moment of her past kind of catch up to her and torment her in the future, and some things happen that are very strong connected to the past. That is why we are going back into the past to see why this occurred and why Xena has to overcome her past in order to be who she is now. When Xena was a teenager, about 13 or 14, that is never actually established. It's kind of self-explanatory, so we understand that she's about 14 years old when her village, Amphipolis, is attacked and her little brother gets killed and after that she just loses it. In order to ensure that this will never happen again, she gathers her own army, and in the beginning she starts to use other villages and their people for protection, but then that turns to they giving her money to protect them, and that turns to she becoming a conqueror and start going around the place and killing people. Then after that she meets a girl on a ship that teaches her another martial art, the art of pressure points, and Xena learns a lot of her fighting techniques of this girl, and that is also right when she meets Caesar when he was very young, and unfortunately he betrays her as well and puts her on a cross. He broke her legs and it was devastating. And after that Xena snaps once more. She really is turned to a very, very evil person that just is disappointed from all people and is out for herself. So anyway, that is pretty much Xena's story with lesser spoilers as possible. But the important thing is to remember is that Xena was a very evil person, and she found herself again, the person that she was before all this happened, and she dedicated her life to do what's right in order to redeem herself and all the super evil things that she did. And you can see also those super evil things in the show, so I'm not going to tell you everything or spoil anything. If you ever get the chance, watch Xena Warrior Princess, and it is the kind of show that if you miss a few episodes or if you didn't catch it in the beginning, you may not think that this is so good, or you may not get it. Xena is about the meaning, and every episode has a key meaning to some part of the story, but you can only connect those if you watch the whole thing. So it's very important to watch Xena from the beginning and to not miss an episode. And it's really not hard to do that, because every episode is absolutely genius and brings you unique stories and unique part of the story, and some of those episodes you are guaranteed that you will remember absolutely forever. I was about 14 when I first saw Xena, when it was first aired in my country, and it still holds me, and I still can watch every episode, and still is so interesting to see it after all this time that I already seen it. It's just the kind of show that lasts through the years and is just so thoughtful and meaningful, and the way that it's made, you will really want to watch it again and again and again. It just doesn't fail. It's not like today's shows. They are very interesting, they're fast, the information is just flowing in the screen just like that. It's very interesting, it's shocking, and what happens in the end, you just forget what you just watched, or just don't care about the character so much, or you just don't have the need to see an episode again. You just found out everything's very clear, and it's just poorly presented. Today's shows I like many of today's shows. I like to watch them. Like for instance, Nikita is very good. It's a very good show. I watched also the old one, although I was very little then. But I watched the old show, and it was also good. And this new show brings a lot of new things, and also tries to keep the value system of the show in check. And the show has some good messages. But it's not the same, and you really don't feel the need to see an episode again. And when I watch Xena even now, I figure out even more things about the show. I figure out some super interesting plot points. It's just in your soul. You could definitely find something that will touch you. You will get a story about about courage, about how a person can change, finding the willpower and what is the greater good and all those things. And it's shown in a very entertaining way. The show just had the best values, amazing actors by the way. All the casting on the show is absolutely on spot perfect. There are also some comedy episodes. It's not all serious. It's like in a real life. There are hard situation, there are sad situation, there could be unfortunately tragic situations, and there are comedy situations, which is normal. So that doesn't mean that the show is not serious enough or something like that. It just represents how life of Xena would be back in those ancient times, and how Xena could overcome everything. So that is my review of Xena Warrior Princess for all Xena fans, and like I said, the people who are not Xena fans. And for the Xena fans, battle on!